from Storehouse Media. Sherrie, how are you? And I know you're excited about our guest today. You've been talking about her all the time.
I do. I do. She
Here she
is an
is.
amazing person. She is someone who is a hero, and she is someone that I could call a really good friend. So I'm really good to have her on the show. I'm really excited about it. And I think the viewers and listeners are going to get excited as well. It is Jennifer Eskew. Welcome, Jen.
Hi, hey, how you doing, Sherry? Hi,
I'm
Neil.
doing
Thank y'all
great.
for having me back.
Yeah,
All
of
right.
course. Well, a little bit about Jennifer is that she is a retired ATF special agent, and she was the first full-time female undercover trooper in the state of Virginia, a police officer, state police officer in the state of Virginia. We'll talk about that in a minute. She's an author, and we're going to talk about that. The upcoming book, pending release, Becoming Fire. And she's an advocate for 9/11 responders. And I'd love to start off with that topic, Jennifer, because 9/11, what is it, the 24th anniversary is coming up next week.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
It's a hard time. Every September is great because it comes right in with that holiday and everybody's feeling up and great and cooking out, enjoying with their friends. And the very next thing that we start with is the TV and various media starting to remember, oh, we're coming up on 9/11 and it's September again. So here we are 24 years later. A lot of things have gone on in 24 years as far as dealing with terrorism, different events that are happening worldwide here in the country. And there's a lot of things too that have gone on with the 9/11 first responders. And the main thing is the different health related issues that the 9/11 responders have encountered since that time period. A lot of cancers. There's 69 recognized the last time that I checked.
Oh my
Then there are
goodness.
also some various lung diseases.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have lost more first responders and survivors who had been in the buildings and got out but got hit with the dust and all. We have lost more responders than we have lost on 9/11.
Oh my gosh. And that's not out there at all.
It rarely gets spoken about. I personally have lost 8 people from my agency who were agents on the ground who responded immediately. 3 out of the New York area so far, and I say so far begrudgingly. I hate to say it, but we have several people who have been dealing with cancers on various stages. Um, and some of them have some very serious cancer, stage 4s, that they're having to deal with in their families. And they have been diagnosed as 9/11 related, but there are other diseases like interstitial lung disease. There's certain types or certain ways of asthma, just a variety of things that they have recognized. And after all the testing, they're saying, yeah, this is such a high incident in our responders. The 3 gentlemen I lost in New York City, I'd like to mention them first. First, we lost Billy Sheldon. He was married with 2 kids. He served overseas in Iraq. Right after 9/11, he left his job with ATF to go overseas to be in the military. He served, he returned, took back up his job with ATF, and he passed from cancer in 2015. In 2016, we lost Cesar Santana, also of New York, also an agent that responded immediately. We also lost Chris Behan in 2019, another agent who was there and responded immediately. And these guys stayed. They worked the piles, they worked the debris, they stayed right there the whole time. But we also had agents in the Pentagon and in Shanksville. From the Pentagon, we have lost 5 of our agents so far. The first one was Rick Price. The second one, that, if I get it in order correctly, was Jerome Gant. Rick was a friend of mine from way back. Jerome and I were friends, tight friends for many decades. Next, we lost Greg Baker. Good guy, funny guy. kind of a New Yorker, Irish guy, just great. We lost Larry Sanders, a Texas boy. What a pleasant gentleman. You could not have asked for a finer representation of a Texas gentleman. And most recently, this past winter, we lost Frank Malter, and he was our Southeast team leader for the ATF National Response Team. We call it the NRT. Back over my shoulder here, the blue helmet. That's the helmet I wore when we were working at the Pentagon. That's the helmet we all wear. Anyway, we've lost these 8 gentlemen. We've probably got about 25 of our retirees and a few people still on the job that are dealing with the 9/11 illnesses. And it's not just the agents that responded. It's not just the first responders. There are also people who survived only to start getting sick just a few years later.
Sherrie, this is just unbelievable facts we're finding out today that I just didn't know about.
Tunnel to Towers has been awesome. The T2T Foundation, Tunnel to Towers has been awesome. There's the World Trade Center Health Program, which is for all 3 crash sites, terrorist sites. And of course, there's the Victim Compensation Fund after you go through all the processes. But the Tunnel to Towers people have been incredible for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jennifer worked, she was part of Pentagon, the cleanup and search and rescue. And she was sending me pictures of the damage, and it was unreal. It was just really unreal. And the damage there. And you just look at it and you're like, wow, what a mess. And where do you even start on something like that? And you were in charge of the searching with canine teams.
Yeah. The Pentagon, my teams, all of us, we arrived just a few hours after the crashes. We were notified while the phone systems were still working. First, they notified us and they said, go to New York, go to New York, bring all your gear. We don't know how long you'll be with us. And so you packed everything and you went, and most of us keep a gear bag ready to go. As we were traveling towards New York, we were contacted on the radios, and a couple people were able to get a hold of some phones, cell phones to work, because this is 2001, a little different. And they said, reroute, New York City is shut down, which is an overwhelming thing to hear.
Yeah.
New York City is shut down. You cannot get into New York City. We want you to go to the Pentagon. Go to the Pentagon. So initially, about 63 of us were able to arrive at the Pentagon on 9/11. The smoke was still rising. The fire departments, the fire rescue people, everybody was still on site, still dealing with it. We had geared up, ready to go, whatever they needed us to do. And it was more of a stand by. We're going to do something with you. And we're like, okay. They found a place to put us, and from that moment on, you were in full mode.
Oh my gosh.
And we started doing the 24/7 the whole time. The group of us at the Pentagon, a few of our guys had traveled from Pennsylvania.
Right. And they were thinking also was going to hit Pittsburgh too, right?
Right.
Because I was in Pittsburgh and I was at a teacher's training and we had to be evacuated. It was scary. It felt like World War III was happening.
It really did feel like World War III. It really, not just from your movie fantasy predictions, not from just the things you've learned from history, from schools. It really did feel like we were under attack. And no different than Pearl Harbor. We were under attack, and it was figuring out how to make it stop, how to shut it down before anybody else gets hurt. You know, the train systems, if everybody remembers, they shut down the trains. They didn't just shut down the airlines. They shut down the trains because they were afraid that terrorists would be on the trains. Malls closed, schools closed. Everybody just froze in time.
Yeah.
And most of us just stood there looking at a television.
I remember all this. I'm going to ask Sherrie, where were you?
I think that is something that if you ask anybody, where were you when you found out about 9/11? Everybody can tell you.
Yep.
I was at work and I remember I was outside walking in and I got a call and like, did you hear what's going on? I'm like, what? And it was so surreal because I used to work in New York. And I actually, when I started on and in with NYPD, I worked, part of my district was under the towers. And so I was very familiar with that whole area. And I just, like everyone else, you just stayed glued to the TV as you're racked with this, like, what's next? You hear about the towers and the Pentagon in Pennsylvania. What's next? So I went and I got my kids out of school because, like, what's next? No one knew. And it was just a scary, scary thing. And uh, but it stopped, thank goodness, at that at the I think Pennsylvania was the last.
Yes.
And that's when it
Yeah.
stopped. But
Yeah.
yeah, the pictures is
Oh.
just what they say, pictures worth 1,000 words. I think these pictures she sent me were worth more than that many
Oh,
more words.
100%. So here's another
Basically, came up.
background I have relationship. One of my former clients is the 9/11 Museum, not the other one. He was a photographer for CNN, everything
Mhm.
like that. And I worked with him and I promoted for them back in the day. So I ended up getting to go there, which is a totally different thing than the big one, because there's a lot more artifacts. It's just unreal. And then Mike Velarde also was on the ground, and he's a former client. He is a client of mine. So it's interesting. But September 11th will always live with me, and it's because it was so scary, and it was the first thing that budded my teaching career. Go figure, X amount of years, and you said 24 years. I can't believe 24 years, Jennifer.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of the things on TV from it. I'll avoid those shows. I have a hard time with it. A couple of months ago, I don't know, the 9/11 people say I have PTSD. I thought it was fine. I still think I'm fine. I'm all right. But I know that, they do the little testing thing and they come back and they go, yeah, you, and I'm like, well, I did a lot of things in my career. I saw a lot of things. I was in law enforcement for 32 years. So it's probably a little of everything. And I'm okay with it. I'm good. What I think, though, is to avoid some of those things that just upset you too much. I did watch a couple of years ago, and I made myself sit through it. There was a video that some young men, they were from overseas, maybe Amsterdam or something, and they were filming like the New York Fire Department, and they were with them all day.
Oh, I saw that one. That
And it
was
was,
horrific. Yeah,
they
it
weren't
was.
supposed, this just happened. They were
Yeah, it was.
there to film.
Oh my God. Yeah, I watched that.
It was an incredible, and you just like, wow. What I think too, and then this is because I was at the Pentagon, but also a lot of people, we know about the other sites. We know it's just that New York was just incredibly overwhelming
Hmm.
to lose almost 3,000 lives right there. And in the way we lost them, the horrific ways we lost them,
Oh my God. Yeah.
from having to jump from buildings because the fire was overwhelmingly hot, and to make that choice because you didn't have a choice. But then the buildings to crumble down and the rescuers to try to get to them and everything happening. So with all of that, it overwhelms, and you kind of forget that at the Pentagon we had that same thing that happened in a different way, but we still lost so many people in the Pentagon. The stranger, different thing about this is I grew up in a very small rural community in Southside Virginia, a little place called Kinbridge.
Okay.
And between my parents' farm and my aunt and uncle's little country store was about a mile. And a half mile from the store, or a half mile from my house, were family that lived there, and it was the Hurt family. We knew them; they knew us. They came to the same country store. You saw them all the time, and the grandparents were raising their little girl, their granddaughter, Peggy Hurt, and sweet little, very little chirpy cheeks. That's the biggest thing I remember about her. She's a little bit younger than me, but she went to school with my sister and rode the same school bus, same schools, everything. When 9/11, when my work was done and I finally got a chance to go what I call home, back to Cambridge, the first thing that my aunt told me was Peggy Hurt died 9/11. And I was like, what do you mean? Because I had never heard of her being in the military or being on a plane. I mean, what are we talking about? And she said she worked at the Pentagon. She had just gotten a job at the Pentagon 2 weeks before in the Army's accounting division. She grew up poor, very poor.
Yeah.
And she was able to get her full education in accounting, get great jobs working for, the Virginia National Guard and different units and different people and working with the Army. And she was offered this opportunity of a job of a lifetime. Come up to the Pentagon, live in Arlington, work in our accounting section with the U.S. Army. And roughly it was the start of her third week there when she got killed in the Pentagon. So I went back after I retired and I thought, we shouldn't forget these people. So I spearheaded getting a monument built in my town for her, but it's dedicated not just to her. It's also to anybody we've lost to terrorism, to war, and to violence, crimes of violence. And the whole community pitched in, and it's right in the middle of town of Cambridge, right at the town hall. I had that memorial. I didn't know they could do this, but on the stones now they can put a perpetual picture. So I wanted Peggy Hurt to be remembered.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sherrie, what's new with Jennifer? As Jennifer keeps talking about 9/11, what's new?
Well, we'll go on to a really happier note.
Yes.
And she wrote a book called Becoming Fire, and which is very appropriate because that's what she did when she was with ATF. She investigated fires, and it's been something we've been working on for a while, and I am so fully engaged in that book and so impressed by her story. And it goes from being a child and her love of or desire wanting to get into law enforcement to fast forward to her what they call breaking the ceiling and being one of the first females when it was tough as a female to get into law enforcement. But she became a state trooper. And I don't want to talk too much about the story, but just enough to whet the appetite. And she ends up, because she's female, and she's a rookie, things are not going so well. She finds the love of her life, and he's older. He kind of shows her what to do. So she knows what to do now. And then something happens and she wants to disappear. And she does by going into a crack house 24/7. That's when she became the undercover for the state of Virginia, first female full-time undercover state police officer. And so she lived in a drug house for 24 hours, 7 days a week. And then towards the end or at the end, she gets the invite to go be with the ATF. So that's as much as I'm going to say, but it's a great story. It is wow. It's emotional. It's sad. Jennifer, it's funny. It's just out there, and she's not one to hide back and try to make herself look like the best thing in the world. I mean,
No.
she puts it out there. She's very honest about herself and what how she could have improved and what she did right and what she did wrong. It's just one of those stories that you just fall in love with, and you really can't wait for the sequel, which there is one coming, because that's the whole thing about becoming ATF agent.
Yeah, thank you. That was very nice.
Right. And so what's next? When is that, Sherrie?
Well, we're thinking It's going to be soon,
Very soon.
but sometime this fall.
Okay.
Well, we don't have a specific launch date yet. There's some, a few more little tasks we got to do. The book's done. We just, that whole pesky publishing stuff that we have to deal with.
Well, Jennifer, go ahead. We were going to say.
No, what I was going to say is this weekend we got lucky. I had asked for someone to write a foreword for me for my book, and Lieutenant Joe Kenda, formerly of the Colorado Springs Police Department, he's a lieutenant there. He retired, and he ended up accidentally on True Crime TV, and he's been doing quite well as part of Homicide Hunter for 9 years, and now as part of American Detective Homicide Hunter for the last 5 years. And he's got 4 books out. He's pretty well revered in the True Crime TV world, and Mr. Kenda was nice enough to write my foreword for me, and I couldn't have been happy. I can't be happier. It's incredible, and it's been really great.
It is. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Joe Kenda. I mean, huge. So, to have him write the foreword, it's a big deal. I'm so proud of her.
Yeah. And I appreciate you very much for having me here.
Well, we appreciate it. And it was such a great conversation. And I'm excited about when your book comes out. We'll be waiting. And we'll probably have to do another interview. I'm glad you chose the 9/11. This is going to be great for both Storehouse Media Group's podcast and the Neil Haley Show to have that conversation already about September 11th coming up. And I think we shared some things that maybe didn't know we had in common. And the fact of, being close to the ground, I guess in Pittsburgh, we were very close to being hit. And just the power of that and the people that I've worked with that have helped in 9/11. Thank you for your service. And thank you, Jennifer, for coming by.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate you inviting me and having me on your show, Mr. Haley. Thank you.
All right. That was a special simulcast, the Neil Haley Show and the Storehouse Media Group podcast. Remember,